Hey everybody, welcome back. We got a catch-up character review video we got to do. I'd like to still do these even though the character might have been released for a bit, mainly to make sure that any newer player or a player who's not gotten this character the first or even second time around can find this video at some point, check it out to see what the stats, etc. are, so they can decide how much they want to get into this character. So for those of you who've already got Ebony Maw and you know that he's good, great. If for those of you who want to see the stats, check out his abilities, etc., this video is for you. Doing it specifically for you guys, so it's kind of a catch-up. Just make sure it's in the database of character review videos for anybody who might need to check it out in the future. So anyway, having said that, I can give you a spoiler that Ebony Maw is pretty good. So anyway, let's go look at the details.
Bring me WolverThor!
Okay, so we go through the details of the kit. I'll talk a little bit about the turn order with him specifically, and then T4 upgrades. Not Yeti, Punk style, that's in a different video that we've already done for Black Order, but I will touch upon these slightly as I go through there. And then more importantly, I'll go through the stats after. I get this information on Discord from the Ultron bot. It is a great bot. You should definitely check it out and have it on your Discord. So anyway, you should do that because it's a very helpful tool. So anyway, the first up here, we've got the basic for Maw. Attack primary target for 70% piercing plus bonus attack 2 times for 60% piercing. Apply bleed. If the primary target is a hero controller, apply bleed for 2 turns instead. The T4 upgrades here is an additional 10% for piercing, so 60, and the bonus attack is a third time. So not too bad. This isn't your first turn ability. It's not even really your second turn ability, but it's not a bad ability for that third turn. Or if you want to use it, you know, if you want to skip the special or all on one of the first or second turns, it's nice to have ready to go and understand it. So anyway, special, Insidious Whisper. This is your first turn ability if you so desire. Otherwise, you're using the basic. Apply defense up for 1 turn to self and all allies, not just Black Order, but all allies. Apply counter to self, all Black Order allies, and Thanos allies. Apply offense down for 2 turns to all enemies, and clear counter from all enemies. The T4 here is a guaranteed 2 turns of defense up for all your allies. So this is a pretty nice ability here, and the part that I really like is that the defense up is for all allies. The counter is only for Thanos and Black Order, but still not too bad. And then the offense down goes to all allies, or all enemies, sorry. And it also clears all enemies counter. So it's really how we can plug and play a little bit into different raid teams. This ability, I definitely, you know, we said this was an essential T4. You can check out that video. But I really like that 2 turns of defense up for all of your allies. For that alone, it's worth it. It helps you get through raids and PvP battles, all kinds of different stuff. Ultimate, which is more than likely your second turn ability. Steal 3% health from all enemies and redistribute to all allies. This bypasses heal block. Repeat this attack 4 additional times. Apply slow to all enemies for 2 turns. Each attack redistributes a maximum of 25% of this character's max health. So at this point, you've probably seen this ability where he's like ticking the health away from someone eventually. If you get the T4s, which I'm going to read right now, fill speed bar for self and all allies by 5% per Black Order and Thanos ally, and then reduce speed bar for all enemies by 5% per Black Order and Thanos allies. You also then see your speed bar tick up and the enemies tick down. For the T4 and that alone, I think it's probably worth it. You just like to get a little bit ahead of your opponents, and this is a way to do it. You know, this heal is not as powerful as I thought it would be, but it is pretty close to the Minerva situation if you're in those like Dark Dimension type scenarios. You know, where it gets your team close to full. So he's really nice for those cosmic nodes. And he's a good raid tune, so he's definitely nice to have, and being with Thanos even makes him better on those raid teams. Passive for Maw, the Envoy of Thanos, on spawn, gain 2 regeneration, 2 death proof, and immunity for 2 turns. Plus fill an ally Thanos speed bar by 25% per Black Order ally, and this was what allows Thanos to go first when you've got a full Black Order team. On ally Thanos' turn, you basically give him the reality stone, time stone, and soul stone. grant him 2 regens, 2 death proofs, and immunity for 2 turns. This character can only do this once per match. It's pretty nice when you do slap that on Thanos. It's pretty dope. On death of an enemy hero controller, pause for a second. We being Punk, Yeti, and I, did a video on showing what hero controllers are located, where these hero controllers are located in Ultima 7 and who they are. So it's a nice little cheat sheet for you if you're trying to figure out what path you're on and where Ebony Maw might be most useful. Gain charged, apply immunity to all allies and barrier all allies for 20% of this character's max health. If charged on enemy turn, apply ability block to all hero controller enemies and then lose charge. This attack cannot be dodged. This whole thing is basically just about giving yourself barrier, immunity, and for the Phoenix situation, if you kill a Phoenix, she pops up. Or if you kill Jean Grey and then a Dark Phoenix pops up, the barrier it gives you basically makes it so and immunity makes it so you don't get defense down and the damage doesn't do anything to you. Gain 20% resistance. Black Order gain 20% resistance as well. The T4 in this is an additional 10% resistance to himself and the Black Order and Thanos allies. So all in all, one of the better passives in the game. It's pretty sick. You really like to do it with Black Order, but it still helps quite a bit when you're with Thanos in raids as well. So let's check out this guy's stats. All right, you don't have to go too far from the top to see Ebony Maw here. And before I go into those, just so you know, I have a giant massive spreadsheet, surprise, surprise, that's got a bunch of data in it that ranks all of the characters' stats throughout the game against everyone else. And then I do a kind of a collective ranking of those stats at the end to rank the character based on all those stat rankings. That might have been a mouthful, but it basically shows you who's the best on stats alone. So I've got a baseline for this, and it's based off the stuff from MSF.GG. Level 70, 7 yellow stars, 0 red stars, T11, 1% star tech, and passive level 4. This baseline is going to get changed in the near future. By the time this video is actually out there, it might have already been changed, but not for this particular video. So, Ebony Maw, he comes in at 3rd in the game, stat-wise. The only people ahead of him is Ultron and Dark Phoenix. Pretty amazing, to be honest with you. And again, you got to remember this doesn't factor in red stars, and that's something I'm going to do in this next one, because red stars are in the game. Most people are getting to the 3-4 red stars on most of their tunes, so it's time to factor those in. So, Ebony Maw, his health comes in at rank 19, and that's actually big because of some of that distribution of barriers, so you like to see that. 95,000 health. Really liking that. The damage, I was a bit surprised here, even though he's a legendary character, unlocked by another legendary character. Damage comes in at 35, which I'm really happy about. It's 7307. He's got the piercing aspect to most of his kit, but you still like to make sure that damage is high with piercing because it does more damage and just ignores the armor. Speaking of armor, his armor rank, it's terrible, 111. But, he's not meant to be a tank. You just hope for him to survive long enough to do what he needs to do, get that ultimate off, give himself some more health, and also get the barrier onto the team and immunity on the team if you kill any hero controllers. His focus. So this is important for those offense downs. It's 12th. 2187, that is huge. You want to make sure those things land every single time, and they typically do. And you want it on there for 2 turns. I'm a big fan of that ability. Really like it a lot. I like to pop it as much as I can. I really like running him with Shuri as well, because she can potentially feed him energy, and when she gets defense up, she gets energy from, his special. So it's really kind of like a nice cycle going there. Resistance, also very high at 20. 1823, so hopefully any debuffs are kind of just bouncing off this guy. His speed, also very high, comes in rank 12th, and his speed's at 122. So as much as he's a chill, just mellow dude, he's got that speed and he's ramping up and going at it. So you love seeing that for a legendary character, and a big fan of this guy overall. His rank, the only reason he's buying Ultron is because of that 0.1. But you can see their average rank is 34. You can see how high Dark Phoenix is ahead of them. She's still queen of all, which is kind of amazing. But we'll see how all this stuff changes once I add some of these other stats in here. But yeah, overall, 3rd in the game. Average rank across all of his stat rankings is 34.8. Pretty good tune, which you might already know if you didn't. And again, this is mainly for some of the new players or anybody who might not have unlocked him. But let's do an outro and kind of wrap this thing up. Alright, so Ebony Maw, the first legendary to be unlocked by another legendary. And that legendary Black Bolt was a pretty heavy paywall of characters with Asgardians, etc. And the Inhumans, which you need for Ebony Maw, were not easy to get either. So you absolutely expect this guy to be pretty dominant. He is really good. You fill him in with Black Order, obviously, for any PvP arena type stuff. Crushes teams in war. And more importantly, as a legendary should be, he is helpful in raids. I really like him, like I said, with Shuri. I also throw Thanos in there, which I'm kind of leaning towards getting him out. It seems like there's been some tweaks to Ultimate 7 lately under the radar that's made it a little bit harder, where Thanos out of nowhere isn't surviving anymore. Kind of weird. But anyway, Ebony Maw is still worthwhile with these other tunes. So that's what I got to say about Ebony Maw. I hope this is helpful for those of you who have not unlocked him or did not understand his stats. Again, this is primarily to try to get all the characters in an overall database, so that if anybody needs to see this in the future, that they can find this in my catalog of character reviews, and it will be helpful to you. So anyway, that's all I got. Please share with your alliance mates, hammer down on the like button, hit the subscription button, notification bell, all that good stuff. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.